Good morning. I'm Christine Heath. I'm a member of our Board of Trustees, and I welcome you to this Sunday service at the UU Church of Columbia. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and today I'm wearing a gray shirt with a, what color is this? Cranberry pink something vest. We are a congregation of many beliefs striving together to embody courageous love, radical welcome, and deep connection, and we are so glad you are here. Welcome. We offer a live stream for our services and extend a warm welcome to those of you joining us online. We strive to make our worship accessible, and you can find an accessible order of service online with hymn lyrics at our homepage, uucomo.org. There are listening assistance devices with our ushers near the entrance to the sanctuary, and if you're on Zoom, you can click the CC button for subtitles. For those of you with us in person, Mass are now welcome, celebrated, and optional. We'd like to particularly welcome any visitors among us this morning and invite you to find our Visitor Connect book in the greeting area or in the chat. We'd love to stay in touch with you. Children and babies are always welcome in worship. And we also have a lively children's program for all ages and nursery care of our youngest ones in the lower level. Children will be invited to a Sunday school class after our centering and time of embodied prayer. This morning, we are very excited to welcome our guest preacher, Reverend Lucinda Isaacs. Reverend Isaacs is a Presbyterian Church minister from Ohio, now preaching in guest pulpits across the country. As a trans Christian, she offers witness of an inclusive and loving God. Now let us take a moment to settle into this morning's service with help from our musicians, Pac Matthews and Alan Arnold.
I am Gretchen Mowney, one of your worship associates. My pronouns are she and they, and I am a white elder millennial person with short brown, blue streaked brown hair, short bobbed hair, wearing a black button-down shirt with a blue cami peeking out and holding a blue blind cane. Our opening words are from the Reverend Kimberly Ann Tomsack Carlson. It is not by chance that you arrived here today. You have been looking for something larger than yourself. Inside of you, there is a yearning, a calling, a hope for more, a desire for a place of belonging and caring. Through your struggles, someone nurtured you into being, instilling a belief in a shared purpose, a common yet precious resource that belongs to all of us when we share. And so, you began seeking a beloved community, a people that does not put fences around love, a community that holds its arms open to possibilities of love, a heart home to nourish your soul and share your gifts. Welcome home. Welcome to worship. And our centering song is hymn number 188, Come, Come, Whoever You Are. I invite you to rise or remain seated as you prefer. We now light our chalice, the symbol of our faith, in the cup of community that holds us, in the flame of spirit that unites all beings. As George lights our chalice, will you please join me in the words of affirmation printed in your order of service? Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Jamila Batchelder, the Director of Religious Education here. I'm a middle-aged white woman with dark blonde hair and glasses and a black turtleneck. And I'll take whatever pronouns you throw at me, but I usually use she, her. Our centering this month has been about learning from the wisdom of baby birds taking flight. So I want you to close your eyes and take a deep breath in and let it slowly out. And imagine yourself like those baby birds, balanced at the edge of a new beginning of a great, vast world. Let yourself become aware of all that is calling to you, all the beauty and possibility and dearness all around you. And then also be aware of the risk of it of all that is uncertain, that is dangerous. There are no guarantees that any of this will work out. So in what do you place your trust? In your instinct to live this life? In the earth? In all your siblings balanced with you along this edge? In all who have taken the leap before you, whose love reaches out and surrounds you, who trust that your life matters no matter what happens? Let all those feelings of uncertainty and trust and risk and beauty and love wash over you like a cool spring breeze. Be present to this moment in all its fullness, in all of us together, not knowing what the next moment will bring. Let this moment together be everything. And then spread your wings. Leap out. Maybe you are first. Maybe you come after. Maybe you are last of all. But one by one, let us all take flight and go together toward whatever lies ahead.
Now, during a moment of contemplative music, I invite you into our weekly ritual of stones and water. Those of you with us online are invited into a time of contemplation during quiet music, and you may wish to share your joy or sorrow in the chat to be spoken aloud during our time of prayer. For those of you here in the sanctuary, you are welcome to come forward and take a stone. Fill it up symbolically with any of the hopes and fears that you bring with you this morning, and drop the stone in the water, which represents the embrace of our community. Those of you in person who wish to have your joy or sorrow spoken aloud may write it on a slip of paper at the back table to be shared during our time of prayer.
Please join me in a spirit of prayer and mindful attention. And let us open our hearts and our spirits to these words of witness from the Reverend Teresa I. Soto. I cannot prove to you that I am a person, but you can hold my hand cool and dry while we pray or just breathe, ragged breaths catching on our aching ribs. I cannot prove to you that brown skin is holy, that black skin is sacred, but you can know it, luminous and irrepressible, the tabernacle of your own liberation. I cannot even prove to you that every queer body, every trans and NB body, every ace and bisexual body sings back to the universe its immense generative power of yes. I cannot prove to you with quadratic certainty that what a disabled body holds is a story of wisdom beyond perfection, like a red sun emerging from behind a cloud of dust. So the answers that I have for a country hacking up a death rattle and a democracy with a wheezing, waxy pallor are about our courage to love. Our desperation not only for survival, but also to tread above the worst of our collective nature and to get each other free. Unashamed that there came a day when we were willing to risk looking foolish, to simply stay together and alive. May it be so. I invite you to remain seated and join in our sung response, hymn 155, Circle Round for Freedom.
Peace be with you. I'm Lucinda Isaacs. I use she, her pronouns. I'm about 6'2" with white and brown chin-length hair. And our reading today is from Ross Gay, the poet, who I think was in Columbia earlier this month. And the title is Throwing Children. It's really something when a kid who has a hard time becomes a kid who's having a good time. In no small part, thanks to you throwing that kid in the air again and again on a mile-long walk home from the Indian joint as her mom looks sideways at you. Like, you don't need to keep doing this. Because you're pouring with sweat and breathing a little bit. Now you're getting a good workout, but because the kid laughs like a horse up there, laughs like a kangaroo beating her wings against the light, because she laughs like a happy little kid, and when coming down and grabbing your forearm to brace herself for the time when you will drop her, which you don't, and slides her hand into yours as she says for the 40th time, the 50th inexhaustible, her delight again and again, again and again, and you say, give me to the redbud tree, or give me to the persimmon tree, because she knows the trees, and so quiet you almost can't hear her through the giggles. She says, okay, till the next tree when she explodes howling, yanking your arm from the socket again. All the wolves and mourning doves flying from her tiny throat. And you throw her so high she lives up there in the tree for a minute. And she notices the ants organizing on the bark and a bumblebee carousing the little unripe persimmon in its beret. She laughs and laughs, and she hovers up there like a bumblebee, like a hummingbird up there giggling in the lights, like a giddy little girl up there who knows how to love. Today, I want to offer a new word for love. This word is not a noun, it's not an object or a thing or idea. And to my surprise, it's not a verb, doesn't convey any action or doing in and of itself. This new word for love is a preposition. Prepositions express relationship of one word to another, such as above or beneath, beside, by, from, in, near, on, among many others. And prepositions connect words and ideas and express relationship and proximity. And this new word for love is with, W-I-T-H, with. With changes everything. It would not be a stretch to say this tiny little word, this preposition, is at the heart of a life-giving way of being in the world. It's a word that animates faith and service and activism. With. Now, with isn't that type of word we can so easily banter around. I've noticed that sometimes I think of a different preposition for love. I think of for, F-O-R. And when I find myself doing that, I pause for a little self-reflection. We offer a charitable gift for someone, or when a loved one is hurting, we might ask, what can I do for you? People are often asked to sacrifice for a cause. When people are for something, we think of them as virtuous and noble. This isn't always bad. However, doing something for maintains a distance between ourselves. Doing for rarely goes beyond the surface of our need. I'd say it even comes short of dismantling the death-dealing ways of our world. It comes inches short of fortifying others with hope and resilience and courage. And for always feels a bit transactional to me, like you're going to get something back. It's limiting. It doesn't break open the fullness and possibility of our world. And I think this is because for doesn't recognize the ways that we are already together. But being with changes everything. With acknowledges that all of our well-being is tied up together, and that the antagonists of love are not things that can be easily fixed by doing for. The antagonists of love, like loneliness or alienation, the antidote to that isolation demands we learn to be with. It demands a with-ness. The antagonist of love, of fear and anxiety, but perfect love casts out fear, or, in my estimation, a complete with-ness casts out fear. With acknowledges the ways that we are already inseparable, and being with reminds one another of our wholeness. So in those moments that I pause and do that self-reflection, one of my favorite practices to do is to change the word love to with, or with-ness. And you just heard me do that when I said complete with-ness cast out fear. So I might do this to a poem or passage of scripture that's meaningful to me. And there's a Christian text that feels like it's lost all of its meaning. The passage is seemingly read at every single television wedding. You know, love is patient, love is kind. But consider this version. With-ness is patient. With-ness is kind. With-ness is not envious or boastful or arrogant or rude. With-ness does not insist on its own way. It's not irritable or resentful. With-ness does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices in truth. With-ness bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. With-ness never ends. And sometimes this week, when you hear the word love, try imagining it as with-ness. Or consider theologian Henry Nouwen. He shared once how he formed a practice, a ministry of presence, or being with. He wrote, "More and more, the desire grows in me to simply walk around, greet people, enter their homes, sit on their doorsteps, play ball, throw water, and be known as someone who wants to live with them." And he said, while that might seem like a simple task, he admitted that he gets in his own way of doing that faithfully. It's not as simple as it seems, he says. My own desire to be useful, to do something significant, to be part of me, or to be a part of some impressive project is so strong that soon my time is taken up by meetings and conferences and study groups and workshops that prevent me from walking the streets. It's difficult not to have plans, not to organize people around an urgent cause, and not to feel that you are working directly for social progress. But I wonder more and more if the first thing shouldn't be to know people by name, to eat and drink with them, to listen to their stories and tell you your own, and to let them know with words and handshakes and hugs that you do not simply like them, but truly love them. As a Christian, I'm often reminded of one name for Jesus, Emmanuel, which means God is with us. And for me, this is an invitation to learn how to be with others. In a world full of division and enmity, loneliness and despair, I hear this as an invitation to be with the oppressed, and those who hunger, and those who mourn, and those who are forgotten, and those who are dispossessed. There's always a temptation in me to try to fix these things, to try to save them. But for some peculiar reason, being with one another brings hope and life and joy. Being with one another can bring healing and reconciliation and wholeness. Being with one another brings fortitude and resilience. And being with one another shows what it means when we use that word, love. Think back to that lovely poem published by Ross Gay earlier this week, where he writes, "It's really something when a kid who has a hard time becomes a kid who's having a good time. In no small part, thanks to you throwing that kid in the air again and again on a mile-long walk. Tossing a child into the air requires a complete with-ness. Think of the complete, undivided attention needed for that task. It requires a complete presence. Trust me, I dropped a kid once." But it is that presence, that complete with-ness, that not only conveys love to the world, but somehow spawns love, that somehow generates joy, that somehow fosters connection. That with-ness is in no small part what changes a hard time to a good time. For the last 6 months or so, I've been a minister at large in the Presbyterian Church, meaning I'm not serving a particular congregation or ministry. And first I thought at large meant that I had no purpose, no call, so to speak, a free agent looking for work. And this was a heavy burden for me. I didn't like it at all. But a few months ago, a friend of mine challenged me. Lucinda, she said, over an enchilada, this means you do ministry everywhere. You're free from some of the constraints of ministry. It's marvelous to be at large. It's been the most enriching part of my service to the world. And to be fair, she's right. That's one of the reasons I get to be here with you today. And I'm glad to be here in Missouri, to be with you. To be honest, about 2 weeks ago, I had some doubts. When your Attorney General made gender-affirming health care nearly inaccessible. My heart broke. And I didn't know what to do for Missouri. But it's good to simply be here with you. It was excellent to be at the Forum before worship today, where learning was happening, where people were learning how to be more present in a difficult moment. And I'm glad the court issued a temporary stay. But there was a week last fall when I was learning to be more present in moments like that. You know, I'm live in the Cincinnati area, and it's about a 90-minute drive to Columbus. And for 3 days, I made that drive to the Ohio Capitol, where policymakers were targeting protections for LGBTQIA+ youth on Monday and Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, the state legislature was trying to restrict gender-affirming health care. And I went up to Columbus, and I didn't have a lot to say at first, but I went anyway. Learning to be with means never discounting what it means to simply show up. And I wanted people to know that someone was listening and someone was present as fully as possible. Maybe I could have been a little more chatty. But I felt humbled by the truth-telling in the public testimony. I was moved to tears as people shared their pain. They found that they were with one another in a more profound way. And somehow a joy was forged from sharing in that presence with one another. The truth-telling and the vulnerability, the sharing of joy felt sacred and holy, even if it was outright infuriating that this had to happen. And all 3 of those days, I saw a with-ness, a togetherness that was a source of a joy that could never be extinguished. A joy that refused to back down, a joy that refused to be deterred, that gave life and hope and connection. I saw a sharing that is so needed in our world. And it helped me refine my own understanding of with-ness, of what it means to offer a ministry of presence. I could offer my with-ness to the activists I met at the State House. I could be present to the mother I consoled, who was worried about her child being denied health care. I can accompany the person who told me she struggles loving herself because she's transgender, and that religion hasn't always helped. And it made me think, what if everyone offered our presence at large? What would it mean if we truly learned to be with one another? What would change? Would it break stigma and polarization? Would people better understand the needs of other people? Would we become advocates for each other's wholeness and well-being? And the thing about being with is that at first it might sound small and idealistic, kind of like a preposition, but it's really hard to be with. without being affected yourself, without growing your own capacity for compassion and love. It's hard to be with and not experience the entanglement of one another's dignity. And when that happens, and I pray that it does, our witness becomes a witness to the marvelous work of belonging and belovedness. And we truly experience a transformative presence in our world that is both undeterred and uncompromising. Yet, it's not always easy to be with or to stay with. I think of a lesson I learned from a friend a few years ago who was a doctor. He dearly loved his wife. He was one of the best and most affable doctors that I knew. People respected him throughout his field. And the best part of his job for him was that he got to fix things. He got to take people to feel better. He was phenomenal at taking away pain and discomfort. He was attentive and hopeful, especially when it required going above and beyond. But 2 weeks after he retired, his own wife became terminally ill. And every day he woke up distraught. He wanted to do for her. He wanted to fix her, but he couldn't. And there was nothing he could do. And it depleted his joy. And he felt powerless and incompetent. He felt useless. And he felt like he was letting her down. And he never articulated it, but deep down he was anxious that his inability to fix her meant that he no longer loved her. And then at her funeral, he shared her last words to him. I just need you to be with me. Stop trying to fix me. Just be with me. And when we learn to be with one another, I'm convinced we will find a unity, a joy, a shared human dignity that shall not be moved. Then I'll be ready to use the word love.
I invite you to rise as you're willing and able and sing our closing hymn, number 347, Gather the Spirit.
Every week, we are invited into a time of gratitude and generosity to practice the deep spiritual value of generosity, tending this community and all we hold dear by sharing our gifts with each other. I now invite your stewardship, and it's an offering for the always continuing works of this community are given and received. Your contributions this morning will go to support the work of this congregation, as well as our monthly Faith to Action partners. For the month of April, our partners are Missouri Rural Crisis Center and Columbia Center for Urban Agriculture. If you prefer to give online or by text, please see your order of service for details. Let us now share in the spirit of generosity and hope. Our closing words today are by the Reverend Wayne B. Arneson. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard. The path is never clear. and the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down, there is another truth. You are not alone. Now, let us join our hearts and hands in our sung benediction.